Judge, are you in the courtroom? Yeah, I just want them to understand. I ain't ignoring them. There was something that came up like that.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Mr. Mijas, are you and Mr. Henson ready to proceed this morning?
Your Honor, for you, anything.
My apologies. I don't have my regular court reporter here with me. I didn't realize that you all were sitting in our waiting room.
That's okay. Honestly, you took us in quicker than most Third Circuit judges do. Miss Belcher
I've been
can
here
attest to
since
that.
I've been here since 8 o'clock, and I thought that I'd already made Heather co-host, so she's been patiently waiting. And I appreciate you for being patient this morning. This is 2-1 RP 02377 OD. This is City of Romulus versus Russell Eugene Henson. May I have your appearances, please?
Your Honor, Harry Mijas, on behalf of Mr. Henson. Russell, can you please tell the court your name?
Yeah, Russell Henson.
Thank you. Today is the date for sentencing in this matter. Mr. Henson was charged with the offense of operating with blood alcohol content of 0.17 or more on August 7, 2021, appeared before this court on February 17, 2022, and entered a plea of guilty to the reduced count of operating while visibly impaired. The court referred the matter to the probation department for a interview and a sentencing recommendation, and to schedule today's sentence date. Mr. Mijas, did you receive a copy of the recommendation from the probation department?
Yes, Your Honor, and we've reviewed it and sent it to my client, and we're ready to proceed. Factually, it's correct. I have an issue with a little bit of the recommendation.
What is your issue with the recommendation, sir?
I think given the extended nature of the pretrial posture of this case, the court has sufficient proof that Mr. Henson is doing well, is staying away from alcohol. So the need for an alcohol tether is somewhat punitive and a little bit over the top. I understand it's for only 2 months or so, but at this point, given that because of COVID, we have had a longer period to see him in action under court supervision. And so in the need for the alcohol tether, in light of the other provisions that will monitor what he's doing, is a little bit much, is cost prohibitive. And the reality is, if Mr. Henson does fail, that is always an option the court could reimpose on him at a later date to ensure progress over the probation period. That would be my only issue in this.
Thank you. Ms. Rapp, any response to that?
Since this first one was in 2004, I don't have any objections. If the defendant were to test positive at all, then he would be placed on an alcohol monitor.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Mijas, anything else as relates to the recommendation from the probation department?
No, Your Honor, just in terms of elocution for Mr. Henson, he's done a great job of realizing not just that he made a mistake, but that he made a bad decision, that he was wrong. And he's taken affirmative actions aside from probation and this court supervision to make sure that his life is in order, that he's not endangering himself, others, or the collateral consequences his decisions could have on his family. And I commend him for that. I think some people come to me and want me to get them out of trouble. Mr. Henson wanted not just advice in this court case, but advice on how to move forward in life so that we don't have another situation like this. He understands how fortunate he is that he did not just only hurt himself, but others around him. And he's thankful for that. He understands, but for the grace of God. And I relay that to you, Judge, in saying I think he will do well on probation, and he will be one of those success stories that you can point to when this is over.
Thank you. Mr. Mihas, if you don't mind, I had just two quick questions for your client.
Absolutely.
Mr. Henson, the police report indicates that you had some minor injuries that night. Were you fully recovered from those injuries?
Yes, ma'am.
And the damage to the bike, was it significant?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you still have it?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
Okay. Mr. Mihas, I said two questions. That was three. Unless there's anything else, the court is prepared to impose sentence in this matter.
I have nothing. Mr. Henson, do you have anything you want to say to the court?
That I am truly sorry for my actions and for the decisions I made that evening.
Thank you, Mr. Henson. The court appreciates that. There is an order for fingerprints that the court has signed, and Mr. Henson, you will need to appear at the Romulus Police Department and submit for fingerprinting.
Okay.
Other than that, the court's going to adopt the bulk of the recommendations from the probation department. The main one being that Mr. Henson will be placed on 12 months of probation and pay all oversight costs associated with that. The court will impose a fine of $300, cost of $300, crime victims fee of $75, mandatory state cost of mandatory state cost of $50, fund fee of $20. There is a request for restitution to the city of Romulus for $200. The court will order that as well. Mr. Henson is not to purchase, possess, consume any alcoholic beverages or controlled substances without the approval of the court during the pendency of his probation. He will engage in substance abuse treatment beginning within 30 days and provide all documentation to the probation department as directed. Mr. Mihas, the court already made a note regarding that number 6 paragraph and was not going to place Mr. Henson on alcohol monitoring at this time, but as previously indicated by Ms. Rapp, the court reserves that right to impose that should he test positive during his treatment.
Then I'm doing my job well if I can anticipate the court's actions. Thank you, Your Honor.
And I believe that that concludes and adopts all the recommendations made by the probation department. Just want to double check. There was an indication that Mr. Henson had been receiving treatment already, and I think that he's on the right path. That started back in September 2021. So Mr. Henson, thank you for being proactive in that matter. And Mr. Mihas, unless there's anything else, that is the complete and total sentence of the court regarding this matter.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr.
you.
Henson, the probation department will be in touch with you in a few days using the same contact information that's already on file to help put in place the things that you need to do
Okay.
and to set up a payment plan regarding the fines and costs in these matters, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Henson. Have a great week, sir.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hey, Matt,
Welcome,
One
Mr.
second.
Mihas.
I gotta do it in custody.
Good morning, Mr. Jadala.
Good morning, Your Honor. Your Honor, I have a Gary Heffernan that was set at 8:45. I don't see him in the breakout room, and I never got a pre-sentence report.
At 8:45, I don't have an 8:45.
I
Sam,
don't know. I
he
got a
has
notice
a
to appear for Gary Heffernan.
he has a warrant for
Sorry?
his arrest.
Okay,
It looks like he failed to appear for his PSI back on February 28th.
well, that explains everything. You guys have a wonderful morning.
You are welcome.
Thank you, you too.
See you at 1, Judge.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Shannon. Is Mr. Mihas available? It's Judge Martin. Could you have him hop back on Zoom, please? Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye. Mr. Mihas,
Yes, Your Honor.
thank you for rejoining the court in 21 RP 02377OD in regards to Russell Henson. I did not ask your client to come back on, but I neglected to state on the record to you and your client that so long as Mr. Henson completes satisfactorily the treatment program, responds to all requests from probation department, that he may be considered for early release from probation once he's completed more than half of the term of probation.
I'll relay that to him for sure, Your Honor.
I'd
Thank you.
appreciate that, sir. Thank you, sir.
No
That
worries.
was it. Have a good day.
I will. You too, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And whatever Leanna Belcher wants, please give to her. She's a very good attorney. Even though
Thank
she's
you.
in her car right now.
That's because I have to walk in for exams.
I know, I've got to go to 36th District for 2.
Well, I'll see
Yeah.
you there. That's where I am.
Which court? I'm sorry, Your Honor, for socializing.
That's okay. We don't have anything else ready.
Judge Jones and Judge Jefferson.
I'm in front of Judge King and Judge Archer. I'm in a much better position than you. We don't want to be in front of Judge Jefferson. Shh, don't tell her, Your Honor.
I am so not involved in that conversation.
Look at Leanna, she's blushing. Everybody have a good day. And you know what?
You
We can
too,
always
sir.
practice
Thanks.
law and have a little fun and smile. So,
Have a
Take
good
care.
day. I'll see you.
all right, bye.
Bye.
Ms. Belcher, have you been in communication with Mr. Dixon?
Yes, Your Honor. We spoke on Friday
Okay.
and then he did send an email this morning, so he should be on. I can send him another message.
No, it's only 9:03. My policy is about 15 minutes after the hour.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Dixon.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm good, Your Honor. Sorry for being late. I thought it was a later time, but I did message my lawyer to ask about what time court was.
I appreciate that, Mr. Dixon. And Ms. Belcher is here. This is 210808OD. This is City of Romulus versus Cornelius Thomas Dixon. May I have your appearances, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Leanna Belcher on behalf of Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon, will you please state your name for the record, sir?
Cornelius Thomas Dixon.
Thank you. Today is the day and time set for sentencing in this matter. Mr. Dixon, this case has an offense date of September 19, 2021. In the city of Romulus, you were charged with operating while intoxicated, enhanced, interfering with the police, resisting arrest, failing to stop or identify after a property damage accident, driving while your license was suspended, and reckless driving. You appeared before the court and entered a plea on some of these matters on February 17, 2022. The court sent the matter to the probation department for you to be interviewed by them, for the probation department to prepare a sentence recommendation and schedule the matter for sentencing. Shannon Rapp with the probation department did prepare the recommendation, sent it up to the court along with the police report and the other supporting documents. The court has had the opportunity to review the information from the probation department. Ms. Belcher, did you also receive a copy of the recommendation from the probation department?
Yes, Your Honor, I did receive a copy. I have reviewed it with my client. I know he received a copy via email as well and confirmed that the report is factually accurate. We do not have any additions, corrections, or deletions to make. I did review the recommendation with him as well. Your Honor, we would ask that you adopt that recommendation. Mr. Dixon has obviously an extensive history with alcohol abuse. We did try to have him screened for sobriety court. It's an unfortunate due to his priors that he did not qualify. I know that he is refraining from alcohol use. I think that was the core of the problem in these cases. And he's a very pleasant gentleman to speak with. He's always respectful to me. I have full confidence in him that if he's able to maintain a sober lifestyle, that we hopefully will not see him again in front of Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Dixon, is there anything you want to add before the court imposes a sentence in this matter?
No more than what I said in my PSI. I apologize that my problems fell onto anybody else and that anybody was hurt. It was not my intentions. I just was going through things in my personal life and wasn't handling them right.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. The court, again, has had the opportunity to review the recommendation from Ms. Rapp. It is thorough, and the court will adopt it in its entirety. Will place you on 12 months of probation. For the operating while intoxicated offense, the court is going to impose a fine of $700, cost of $300. There's crime victims fee of $75, $50 mandatory state costs, $20 fund fee, $200 restitution to the city of Romulus, 48 hours of community service that need to be completed and documented during the pendency of your probation. There is an indication that you have a medical marijuana card, sir, and the court will approve its use so long as probation continues to agree that that is not necessary part of your life, but something that's able to be managed. You'll engage in outpatient treatment beginning within 30 days of today's date and follow all recommendations with documentation to probation as directed. Attend AA or some other supportive group weekly with documentation to probation. Not purchase, possess, or consume alcoholic beverages during the pendency of your probation. And submit to testing at least twice per month or as directed by the probation department. As for the resisting arrest, the court will impose a fine of $300, cost of $100, mandatory state cost of $50, fund fee of $20. Driving while license suspended, the court notes that there were 7 other suspensions on your record. Have you cleared those up, or do those remain outstanding?
They remain outstanding, Your Honor. I was waiting till today's sentencing so I can go to the other departments, and with this being finalized, hopefully it will help me get those on track with it.
For count 5, driving while license suspended, the court's going to impose a $300 fine, $100 in cost, $50 mandatory state cost, state cost, $20 fund fee. Count 6, reckless driving, $300 fine, $100 cost, $50 mandatory state cost, and $20 fund fee. Mr. Dixon, within the next few days, the probation department will be in touch with you to help finalize the details of your probation. At that time, you will need to commit to a payment plan for the fines and costs imposed by the court. So long as you are compliant and complete the terms of your probation, once you have served at least half of your probation, you may be considered for early release from probation, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else, Ms. Belcher?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Dixon?
With the drug testing drops, am I still required to pay for those out of pocket? Or they were talking to me about a program before once I was on probation. I'm not sure if that's off the counter or.
Ms. Rapp is going to respond to that question.
Yes, it's reduced now. Instead of twice per week, it's only going to be a minimum of twice per month. So the payment that you're making will be substantially less now.
Okay, so it's just 2 times, but I still pay for 'em. Okay, my second thing that I would be have a question about is I'm taking a 13 panel and I'm doing a breathalyzer, and both of those track alcohol. So one way or another, I'm like kind of overpaying. Could we reduce that?
We test for both because the PBT would test at that moment if you were positive for alcohol, where the urine test test prior hours and prior days of alcohol. So it will not be reduced.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Dixon?
No, ma'am.
Good luck to you, sir. Have a great week. If there's any way that we can be supportive to you during your probation, please don't hesitate to contact your probation agent, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Belcher, have a
Thank you,
good
Your Honor.
day.
You as well, Judge. Good to see you.
Good to see you. This is 184232Z, City of Romulus versus Gabriel Ostech.
Yes,
How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing okay.
Please state your name for the record.
Gabriel. Gosh.
Ma'am, you received the notice from the court that today is the day and time set for your show cause hearing.
Yes,
You understand why we're here today?
yes.
Have you submitted to the probation department proof of your 26 hours of community service?
No, I have not. And the reason I have not is because I'm going through a lot right now. I'm going to be homeless in about 2 weeks. I just got my phone turned on. I didn't even know if I was going to make this hearing because my phone has been off. I'm going through medication changes. I suffer from a TBI, bipolar, BPD, and I've been suffering for a lot with those symptoms. I was waiting for a note from my doctor. I should have it this week. My life is basically in shambles. I have not been able to function enough to do community service, to be quite honest with you. I'm trying to basically keep my life together and just function on a day-to-day basis. I have no money coming in. I occasionally do cleaning jobs with my mom to just function and buy toilet paper.
You do cleaning jobs with your mother. How else do you support yourself?
That's it. There's no other way. Like I
You
said,
don't
I'm going to
receive any government assistance?
I receive food stamps. That's all I receive, ma'am.
Have you applied for assistance with the rent issue, to avoid the eviction?
Sarah, yes, I have applied. They have not reached out. Their caseload is so high. And they said, even with my rent assistance, with my rent, I would still be short based on what they're, based on where I live and what I pay. Basically, I pay too much and they'd only be able to pay a certain portion. It doesn't look good. And I have a court hearing for the 24th here coming up. So it doesn't look good. Like I said, it looks like I'm going to be homeless and I can't go live with my mom because she lives in a assisted living. So like I said, my life is not doing very well right now. I'm just trying to stay afloat.
How do you intend to resolve the issue with this court?
I'll be honest with you. I'm like I said, I'm trying to just find a home to live in. I'm that's on my list of things to do, ma'am.
Ms. Ostech, the court appreciates that you are currently in a situation, but will note that this case dates back to October of 2018. You appeared before Al Hemman of this court on September 27th, enter into a plea agreement where misdemeanor was reduced to a double parking violation, and you agreed to pay the court $400. You then contacted the court to have the matter converted from fines and costs to community service, and you have not completed that. The court is going to return the file to the collections department. You have 5 days to call to set a payment plan in this matter. The alternative in this case will be jail.
I'm going to go into a hospital, ma'am. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter myself into a hospital to protect myself because I have enough mental health issues where I can do that. So I'll be entering myself into a hospital.
Ma'am, that's your prerogative.
Yeah,
I'm
it
just
is my
reading what's in the-
prerogative. It is and I made a big payment to that court. Because I was laid off. I can't believe you're going to put someone in jail who's got mental health issues. That's pretty horrific.
Ma'am, I'm not putting you in jail for mental
No,
health
ma'am,
issues.
you just threatened me with jail. And that's horrific.
Ma'am, I did not. I said this is a case that is now
That's
more than
horrific.
3 years
That's
old.
horrific.
You
That's
appeared-
horrific.
You appeared in September of 2021.
I made a
And
payment to
agreed-
that court. I made a big payment to that court. When I
When?
was laid off, I know I made a big payment. Obviously I can't pull up a computer because I don't have a laptop and I'm on my phone with you, but I made some big payments to that court, that Romulus court, when I was separated from my company in February of 2021. And I just can't believe I'm being threatened when I'm mentally ill. When I have a disabled American is being threatened to be put in jail because she can't pay
Ma'am,
$400.
I am not threatening you. What I'm suggesting to you is that you entered a plea agreement, that you agreed to make payments and you didn't make payments. You then
That-
called
that's
the court and
horrific.
asked for a community service. And the community service
Ma'am, I'm
opportunity
gonna be
provided to you.
homeless. I'm gonna be homeless, ma'am, in a couple weeks, and you want me to pay you $400 or you're threatening me with jail.
That's not what I said, ma'am. I said contact the court to make a payment plan.
Or you said that I will be going to jail is what you said.
That
And
is
I'm
not-
gonna make sure,
that's
I'm gonna make sure the news knows about this. I'm gonna make sure the
Ms.
news knows
Ostes,
about
that's
this,
not what
ma'am.
I said. I said the alternative is.
Is
How do
jail.
you intend to I said, how do you intend to
Do we
resolve
have-
this matter that's been pending?
No, you threatened me with jail, and I'm gonna make sure the news knows about a disabled American going to jail because she can't pay a $400 fine to Romulus Court.
Ms. Ostash, the court has tried to work with you. They've asked you for documentation.
Is this what you're
about
gonna
the
say
different-
to the news? Is this what you're gonna say to the news, that an American with a TBI and with borderline personality and with bipolar, you're gonna throw into the I didn't know we had, didn't know we're back to the 1600s, ma'am. Okay,
Ms. Ostash, what I said to you is that you made an agreement with the court. You didn't keep it.
and
You
I,
spoke
and
to-
no, ma'am, and there are
to
circumstances
the
that have come
probation-
up. No, ma'am, there are circumstances that have come up in my life and I'm a disabled American. And this is ridiculous that you're threatening me with jail because I can't make payment plans when I just told you I'm gonna be homeless in the street. That is what you just said.
Ms. Ostash, if you let me complete my sentence, I'd appreciate it. What I said to you was, you had an agreement with the court, you didn't keep it. You asked for a community service opportunity in lieu of fines and costs. The probation department gave you the opportunity to do community service in lieu of the fines and costs and to provide documentation. And despite repeated requests for documentation, you wouldn't submit it. My question to you was, how do you wish to resolve this? And you said you have some other things going on. So. I said,
Do you
what is
want
it that
documentation? Do you want documentation from my doctor?
I believe that that is what the probation department asked you for.
And I'm getting it this week. They are overwhelmed right now because there are so many people trying to take their lives. Are you living in a bubble? There are so many people right now suffering from mental health issues. I am going to get it this week, and I will make sure Avery gets that letter this week explaining
Ms.
my life.
Ostash. Ms. Ostash,
Yes.
I understand that things happen and life happens. And no, ma'am, I do not live in a bubble. When the file is here, what happens is probation reaches out. When they don't have a response, they send up the file to me with an indication that nothing is happening. We don't get to show cause by accident. We get to show cause because we're not getting responses from people. When you tell the probation department that you have these other issues, all they want is documentation because they'll put it down the road. But when people don't respond, give me 1 second. We don't know what to do. Here's your show cause. Tell us what you want to do. It's an impossibility. Ma'am, okay, it's an impossibility. Life happens. So what is it that you want us to do? And if you say to me, Judge Martin, I cannot do anything because I have this issue, just send documentation to probation department and I'll say, put it over for a month or 3 months or 6 months. And that's why I asked you, do you receive public assistance from anywhere? You said food stamps. I asked you, has you applied for financial assistance to avoid the eviction? And you told me you had Sarah application, but you hadn't gotten a response and they were behind and you have court on the 24th, I believe you said. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. So take a breath. You're threatening to go to the news about a hearing where I'm asking you to work with me so that I can figure out what we're going to do next. And if you can't commit to something, then you leave it to me to say, this is what we're going to do next. If you say to me, Your Honor, I can get proof to Avery within a day or two or something, we can do that.
Okay.
But when your response to me is, I'm threatening you, I'm not threatening you. I'm telling you, I have to move the file. I have to put a next action in there. If you say, Avery will have it within X number of days, I'll send the file back down to Avery with a note that says, do this and give it back to me if you haven't gotten proof from her. If you're telling me, Your Honor, I can't focus on anything except the eviction, can we come back after the 24th? We'll adjourn the case. Doesn't matter to me if it's a month or 2 months. It's already a 3-year-old case. So you tell me, after now you've taken a breath and you've heard me out and understand that I'm not threatening you in any way. I'm just trying to figure out what we're doing for this particular file on this particular day.
Okay, I understand and I apologize. Thank you. What I'd like to do is I'd like to get the note from my doctor. So you have that, my case manager in the file. And I called her this morning and I left a message and I sent her an email. Her name is Sharima. She's over at Team Wellness Center here in Detroit. And I see her, well, I talked to her. My doctor is Dr. O. And I'd like to get a letter, and if we could even just put it off till the 24th till I know, but I'd like to, in the meantime, get a letter from the case manager explaining the situation so you understand that these things are going on. I have had medication changes that are making me very erratic, and it's compounding the situation. They can at least explain it from that portion, and that I am going through an eviction. They're working on trying to help keep the utilities on right now while I'm here. They're helping me from that aspect, so they can at least explain some of these things in this letter.
Ms. Ostash, 30 days to get the letter to Avery.
Okay,
We'll adjourn the show cause for 45 days. That should give you some time to get the response from Wayne Metro or whomever you apply for Sarah assistance and get the documentation over to Avery. I can't give you an exact date right now because they scheduled the show causes with other probation related matters. So you'll receive a notice of the new date, at least 45 days from today, okay?
okay, thank you.
Anything else this morning?
No, thank you very much.
You're so very welcome. Good luck to you on the 24th, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Heather, that's it for us this morning. I'll take us down. I'll bring us back up for these afternoon's trials.
All right, thank you.